What up, people? What's good? Salute.
Yes, sir.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Salute to the tribe. We're hip hop and comics and hip hop. We're a niche channel. Reserved for the best. It's super dope. I do sell comics. Check me out on Instagram at 6th_element_comics. Yeah, because comic books are the sixth element of hip hop. Yes. What's good, everybody? Sixth element of hip hop. I am your host, Reno Noir. My co-host, Stu Dog, is his wife called him away. He was just here. He just wifey called him away. He had to go handle some thing. He'll be right back. Yes, bro. All right. Stu Dogs will be right back. Corey Slade Wilson, what's up? We got all that good Star Wars news. Salute, everybody. Yes, we do. We got a lot of stuff, man. There's a lot of stuff going on with Star Wars. It's very exciting because, Star Wars fans have been getting the shit end of the stick lately. Well, not lately. I'll say since Disney bought Lucasfilm. It's been hit or miss, right? Mostly miss. But there's been some gems in there, right? Obviously, Mandalorian, Andor, Rogue One, to name a couple. And I expect more of that. Okay, we got Ahsoka coming, which is going to be another, Mandalorian level goodness. We've got obviously Mandalorian season 3 coming. Bad Batch season 2 just dropped today. We got to see 2 episodes, so that will be dope. We'll review those in a sec here too. Stu, what's good, my man?
Chilling.
Yeah, so we've got that. But yeah, man. So I don't know if you got a chance to watch Bad Batch yet. It just dropped today. And what is that? But what all is coming out? What all is coming out for Star Wars? What's the big slate? We've got a beautiful lineup.
I was in those digital streets. It's a lot coming out, bro.
Yeah,
I was in those digital streets today. I found out everything coming out for this whole season. Year. Bad Batch, we already know what that is. Visions, we know what that is. Ahsoka, we know what that is. Skeleton Crew is described as being a mix between Stranger Things and Goonies.
Well, they're also calling
Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah, they're also calling Skeleton Crew Star Wars's first Star Trek series. Because we know what to expect from Mandalorian. They have an idea of what's coming for Ahsoka, the live action series with Ahsoka Tano, and Skeleton Crew is a mystery, but it might be more like Star Trek than Star Wars. And it was through a Spider-Man director, right? That director John Watts got the gig, but only because he pitched Jon Favreau while filming No Way Home. And his idea of a coming of age series. So this will be sort of like teens and coming of age in the vein of the early Amblin films from like Steven Spielberg and stuff in the 80s. Was likely a very easy sell. But the story Skeleton Crew tells might feel more like Star Trek than Star Wars by focusing on the awe of exploration.
Well, they said it's more like Star Trek in the way of Voyager, whereas they're lost in space or trying to find their way back home, but they're lost in the Star Wars galaxy.
Yes.
They said it's going to be like Stranger Things, a bunch of kids, or like Goonies, but I don't know what age range the kids will be. They'll be the age, like they'll be Goonies, all age range, or
teenage,
or would they be?
Teens. There'll be some young teens, late teens.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Would they be like Goonies, where it's just all age ranges, or will it be Stranger Things where they're all the same age? That's the only thing I couldn't get from the information I got when I was surfing them digital streets. But they did say that it's shrouded in mystery. As far as everything else, they won't say anything else about it for now.
Well, even though the two franchises' philosophies are radically different, there's a way to blend them together. Star Trek, Star Wars, because and you've got also your boy from Repo Man. What's his name? What's his name?
Which Repo Man?
Big Star. He's gonna be in it. Big Star.
Which Repo Man?
In this Repo Man, the one with Forrest Whitaker and the guy I'm thinking of. What's his name? I don't know why I can't think of it. Jude Law. Okay, Jude Law. Jude Law. Thank you. But anyway, yeah, given the mystery around it, Skeleton Crew could be the the rare Star Wars story that isn't connected to the other part of the saga. Regardless of whoever Jude Law is playing, the focus seems to be on the children who's coming of age is the reason for the series. And this suggests that whatever ship that they're crewing will open the larger galaxy, to them for the first time. So while the destination will be important, the real joy of the show will likely be the journey, the voyage, the Voyager. But even revisiting familiar places like Canto Bight or Naboo would be interesting. If seen through new eyes, and without the impending threat of a despotic army's attack, So I don't know, man. I'm not. This is one of the shows that I'm on the fence about. I have no idea. This could end up being some more Disney crap, or it could be something really cool. We have no idea. It could go either way. So I'm not gonna stamp my stamp of approval on this one yet. The characters won't be scientists studying the universe like in Star Trek, but the effect can be the same. They'll still visit strange.
Wait a minute.
No Star Wars show is ever gonna be.
Wait a minute. Voyager wasn't. See, you got to understand what kind of ship you're using in Star Trek. So, science vessels, and then you have warships, and then you have starships. So the starships, they just travel, exploring the galaxy. The warships, like the Defiant, they're built for war. That's all they're built for. They carry a small crew complement of maybe 98. Whereas depending on the size of the starship that you have, because you have Constitution class, you have Galaxy class. You know what I mean? So it depends on the size of the ship. And then the science ships, that's what they do. They just strictly out there for scientific research. But most of the Galaxy class and the other ships, they just go. They're on peace missions or whatever. Like I said, when I was reading today, they said that it'll be like Star Wars, like Voyager. Voyager was whisked away to the Gamma Quadrant, and then they had to fly back to the Alpha Quadrant, and it was going to take them about 70 years to do it. So they're saying that it'll be like Star Trek in that sense, where they're lost in this Star Wars galaxy trying to get home to another part in the Star Wars galaxy. Because as we know, in Star Wars, you got the outer rim, you got the inner rim. And so I guess it'll take place in the outer rim where we haven't really explored and where Kathleen Kennedy won't take us, but wants to go. That's the part I don't get. She want to go there because she said we need new characters, we need new lore, we need new this, but don't want to take us there. So hopefully,
Kennedy. She's out. She's out.
I hope so. I hope so.
She's out. We're done with her.
I hope so, bro. I hope so, bro. Because this sounds like a good series. Voyager was good in the sense that every week it gave you something different. It gave you new aliens that we weren't used to seeing. So like in traditional Star Trek, you see Klingons, you see Cardassians, you see I don't know, you see Breen, you see all, but in this one, in Voyager, we didn't see any of that. It was all new aliens from the Gamma Quadrant as they made their way. And then a few familiar ones like the Borg, once they got the Borg space, and they knew the Borg were out there. They just didn't know when they were going to encounter. So maybe it might be something like that. Maybe it might be they get to a certain part of space and they have to cross where the Empire is just totally dominant, and they have to cross that space without being, detected by them. We don't know. But I'm excited.
Well, in fact, the protagonists of Skeleton Crew are probably not going to be outlaws at all. Watts could tell a very wholesome story focused on Star Wars, central theme, people helping other people. And the only thing missing under that premise would be an entity akin to Star Trek's United Federation of Planets, And in this galaxy, that's good news. But Star Trek dreamed up the perfect institution that evolved beyond primitive things. The Federation doesn't need money or war. Star Wars, on the other hand, is about how every institution will eventually fail people. Everything was new to Luke and Anakin Skywalker in George Lucas's films, so wonder and exploration were definitely part of their story. But then destiny and matters of galactic politics took higher precedence. In Skeleton Crew, Star Wars can drop out of hyperspace and smell the alien roses, so to speak. Just get into, get away from the politics. It'll be the opposite of Andor, But the assumption is that Jude Law and his crew of skeletons or, children are outlaws is one made based on Star Wars' track record. But even though it's run by the saga's heroes, Din Djarin and Grogu are keen to avoid the New Republic in The Mandalorian. The philosophy of Star Wars, at least on the light side of the Force, is that the compassion and selflessness are good qualities, even if they are a ship full of straight up scallywags. The heroes of Skeleton Crew are going to be the type of people who help other people, and yet they can be the first ones to stop and recognize how truly stunning and awesome something in the universe that they're experiencing is while they're doing it. Skeleton Crew is obviously aided by its sense of mystery, and I think that's not just now leading up to it. I think that's going to be part of it. The mystery and always something new, and not really knowing what it's necessarily about or what's going to happen in the next episode, stuff like that. I'm excited. Could be interesting. I'm excited for everything coming out right now. Right now, everything looks great.
We even have what about Book of Boba Fett? Because we know that there's a season 2 of that coming.
Yeah. I have no information on that show. Nor do
nobody does.
Yeah, nor do I care.
What about
I hope they just cancel it.
Andor.
Andor. Yeah, Andor's it's a ways away, but that's going to be phenomenal. But I think one of the biggest huge news items that I have for you guys today, in my opinion, is that the Mandalorian season 3 villain the Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 villain that sort of phased out, Moff Gideon, apparently will rise like a phoenix from the ashes, to quote my man Giancarlo Esposito. We're now officially less than 2 months away from the release of The Mandalorian Season 3. Din Djarin's next adventure promises to be a grand scope, definitely the biggest thing that they've done yet. Ambition wise, money wise, budget wise, all that shit, story wise, everything. And Moff Gideon is not going to sit this one out. It seems like he was just defeated and easily, right? And he didn't really have any like powers. He was a lot of people felt an underwhelming character, but we never really got his motivations. We never really understood what he was doing, why he was doing it, and where he's going with it. So, I mean, there's rumors of him wanting to clone Palpatine to help bring back the New Order. So this could be Moff Gideon could be the reason why they cloned Palpatine. That could be where they're going with that, because they've got to do something and make that shit make sense. But Giancarlo Esposito has been teasing, his character's involvement in the new season for a long time. And with the release of his new Netflix series, Kaleidoscope, he's back at it again. He said, "You're going to get some Moff Gideon. I mean, I always want more Moff Gideon. I've got to be honest with you. But, you're going to get a good amount of Moff Gideon. You always want to see the phoenix rise from the ashes, or you want to see a nefarious villain rise from the ashes. And believe me, he will." End quote. That's my homie right there, man. I like Giancarlo. And I wanted to show y'all that I got signed by him. Moff Gideon. It's a beautiful piece. Hell yeah. But that's my dude, man. But yeah, shortly after that, Star Wars Celebration, he confirmed that he will be behind bars at the beginning of the season. Remember, they captured him. They stopped him. Luke came on the ship and he was pretty much locked up. But he eventually will break out and start causing havoc, because during this time in Star Wars, and this is how the sequel trilogy was supposed to go into, and this is what was supposed to be the new setting for Star Wars. There were supposed to be these warlord pockets, guys like Moff Gideon with their contingent of old troopers from when the Empire existed. Now all these people, all these troopers and generals and shit, they've got no job, they've got nothing to do, so they form their little militias and their little little warlord, whatever the fuck, and basically they just do crime. It's like little organized crime, or you could akin it to like you see in Africa, a lot of the warlords just sort of taking over cities and governments and shit. So that's where Star Wars was supposed to be. So we're gonna hopefully see some manifestation of that with Moff Gideon, hopefully being one of those big warlords.
What I don't understand, Reno, is why we didn't get that from the grip, man. You could have dropped those last 3 Star Wars movies and just gave us something like that. Because I do know, being in the digital streets today, that there is a new Star Wars movie in the works that will be set in the time of the Mandalorian. We should have just got that from the grip.
I mean, that's what George Lucas was gonna do.
Right, that would have been better. I mean,
that was the plan.
It was like, I think it was a couple weeks ago, you said, when we were talking about Star Wars, I was saying how, like, the Emperor, when they killed the Emperor, that was supposed to be it. I mean, everybody was pleased with the way the Star Wars saga ended with Return of the Jedi. Everybody, nobody had any complaints. Nobody wanted to see Palpatine again. He was dead. He was gone, buried, and to bring him back, I think, man, that was just lame, bro. Yeah. The Rise of Skywalker left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. It actually is credited with the failure of the Solo movie, because it came out first, and then by the time Solo came out, everybody was like, look, I'm done with Star Wars. I don't even want to see anything else. And we're supposed to be getting a Lando TV series of about 8 episodes on Disney Plus. So now that Atlanta is over, we will be getting our Lando back, our young Lando. And I didn't think Solo was bad, to be honest with you. I thought Solo was okay.
I know you said that. But
yeah, I thought it was okay, man. I'm not gonna. I can't sit here in front and say it was bad. I just thought it was
okay. Liked everything about the movie except Han Solo.
He
was so annoying, bro. Yeah, the actor that played him, he was just so hard to watch, bro, because he was so the opposite of Han Solo. He was completely nothing like Harrison Ford, and he claimed to have studied Harrison Ford, and he was gonna act all like Harrison Ford. Where'd it go, bro? What was that? But Ron Howard's, that was Ron Howard's. It became his sort of prequel movie. Solo was supposed to launch a new sector of storytelling for the franchise. Young iterations of Han Solo, Lando were introduced, obviously, to and intended for sequels and spinoffs. But the 2018 film also revealed that Darth Maul was still alive and in canon, and we knew that from Clone Wars, but none of these plot threads have continued, as Solo bombed at the box office, making 392 million, I think, worldwide, barely making a profit at all for Disney. But speaking to a recent interview with Ron Howard, said that any talks of a Solo sequel are coming only from fans and not from Lucasfilm itself. In other words, Solo 2 is still dead. He said, Ron Howard said, the only discussion that I'm aware of about for a sequel for Solo is coming from the fans at this point. I don't think it's a Lucasfilm priority, as I understand it. But there is some great characters launched, and the folks from Lucasfilm love the fans and really do listen. So I would never say never, but I'm not aware of any concrete plans right now to extend the story or deal with that particular set of characters. End quote. And he's right. There was some great characters that came out of that movie. What was the name? Shit. Oh, this guy. Enfys Nest. So Enfys Nest, this was definitely one of the coolest characters. These swoop bikes, and this character right here, Enfys Nest, I was like super hyped for in the trailer, and I was like, oh, this guy's gonna be dope. He's gonna
be a girl,
and it was a woman. Right. So, but I wasn't mad at that. That didn't bother me. I was, oh, cool. No problem. Because
A
again,
lot of people, about that.
yeah, yeah,
And I mean mad, like to the point where they
yeah,
were done with Star Wars. Like,
yeah. Solo
they keep
was
saying that
trash.
Kathleen Kennedy, yeah, they keep saying Kathleen Kennedy is trying to feminize or has feminized Star Wars.
Well, that's what that
Like
was her goal.
they have, yeah, they have nicknamed it She Wars. Um,
Yeah.
just like the, the Marvel Cinematic Universe or whatever they're
Mm-hmm.
calling it. But they have
Schematic.
nicknamed these. Yeah, they've nicknamed Star Wars She Wars now because I mean when you think about it, I went back and watched it, and yeah, every lead character in these new Star Wars movies is a female. All the strongest characters, the spotlight on, they're all female. Every last
Mm-hmm.
one.
Yeah.
Um, it's
Yeah.
disproportionately female heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying that Hollywood and this woke Me Too movement is failing. Tom Hanks was just in an interview and he was saying that is to the point where he doesn't want to take too many roles anymore because none of them are, good.
Yeah.
It's
Or
all
you don't
about
know
this.
what you don't know who you're gonna piss off anymore and get canceled, and
Right.
it's like,
All
fuck it.
right. But
Guys are like, all right, I'll chill.
this last year alone has left a bad taste in all Star Wars fans' mouth. Um,
Yeah,
Disney is
everything.
gonna have to
Marvel,
knock it
Star
out of the
Wars.
park. Yeah.
Yeah,
Marvel
Disney.
and Disney, yeah, they're gonna have to knock it out the park
Yeah, but
this
they're
year
they're
in
on.
2023.
That's kind of like what I want to talk about today is they're doing that. Like they've finally woken up. The like I said, Kennedy's out, the new CEO or old CEO is back replacing the current CEO that fucked everything up. And there's just a lot of changes going on for the better, especially, Dave Filoni, John Favreau, and the stuff that they make, um, and people now that they've brought on. George Lucas is now back as a what do you call it? Consultant.
Liaison, consultant.
Consultant. Like he's not, taking an official role of director or writer or producer or anything, but he's gonna be there on set as a consultant more than he was before. And he was there a lot during Mandalorian and stuff like that. So just more of that is always a good thing. And so I think there's just a lot to look forward to, man, with Star Wars because it's been bad, bro. It's been a problem. Like a lot of fans, man, have just had to pick and choose, like picking through the bones for what's decent and not finding much meat on those bones. But Bad Batch, man, Bad Batch 2. Season
Have you
2.
watched it?
Yeah, well, we got 2 episodes, and phenomenal. The first season of Bad Batch, right, was a bit of a mixed bag. It explored a time period that we hadn't really seen in the franchise before, giving us the immediate aftermath of Order 66 and the not so quick descent into the Imperial era. At the same time, the story felt a bit aimless, focusing on side missions and the Bad Batch taking care of a child, not unlike every single Star Wars show until Andor. But likewise, the first season teased but didn't fully engage with the relationship between the Clone Force 99 and its regular clone brothers. The Bad Batch generally acted superior and vastly different from the other clones, and mostly avoided reckoning with how their brothers were now the bad guys. Thankfully, the premiere of season 2, these 2 episodes, seems to have taken steps to improve things, just like everything else is seeming to do. And it finally has the characters asking questions. And granted, this is no Andor. It's, I mean, obviously, but it's at least closer to the best parts of the Clone Wars series, just set during a darker period in the timeline, which I always love. And the 2-part premiere just picks up like a few months after the first season's events, with the scene that brings to mind like Gore Verbinski's Pirates of the Caribbean movies, with the batch running from giant crab-like creatures with like a treasure chest at hand. And but it's fun. It's a lighthearted way of getting us reacquainted with the characters and their dynamics, as well as showing the big changes, namely how capable Omega is at defeating her brothers or defending her brothers. And so we got to see that. But soon enough, though, they are sent on a new mission to a familiar location. You have Count Dooku's palace on Serrano. And it turns out that since Dooku is dead and the separatist movement is over, there's now a huge war chest just sitting there in his palace, ripe for the taking, like Saddam's palace and shit. But hesitant at first, the group is convinced to go on the mission since the money could help their future. You got Hunter, Wrecker, Tech are in it for their own gain. Echo can't help himself from thinking bigger. He suggests using the money to fight back against the Empire, buying weapons and numbers to help their brothers. And I think this herein lies the biggest change that the Bad Batch introduces in season 2 is a conflict within Clone Force 99 as Echo, finally thinks about the implications of their clone brothers now fighting for the very forces that they were created to fight against. And it makes sense. Of course, since Echo fought alongside Regs for most of the war as one of them, this disillusionment carries across both episodes and, is sure to cause some strife, thematic resonance, as the show goes on. But when they arrive on Sereno, the Bad Batch finds the city in ruins after being bombarded by the Empire, and the treasure has already been looted, right? There's nothing much. But trying to steal their own piece of the pie, Tech explains to Omega that the war chest consists of riches from all of the worlds that Dooku and his separatists controlled and exploited in the name of this war effort, and his war effort. And this prompts Omega to ask how that's any different from what they're doing themselves. This episode, while not fully diving into it, does raise some interesting questions about how the clones view the separatists as well as themselves. Because aren't they kind of doing what the separatist Confederacy did? They're seeing the Republic, now the Empire, as a corrupt state and fighting to stay out of it. But of course, the clones can't admit it, since they were literally bred to fight the separatists. So, but after the heist, goes wrong, the team gets split up, right? So, and Tech and Echo and Omega are rescued by a local named Ramar, and he tells them to leave the treasure and go home. It's cursed, right? It's better off without it. Dooku didn't steal only from the outside worlds, but from his own people. And his quest for power ruined everything for the locals, right? So later at Romar's home, Tech sees their host working on a data core, which he calls a piece of separatist technology before being corrected by Romar, who explains that this is a Serenian archive, technology that had been appropriated by the separatists for their war. So Romar is just trying to preserve his people's history and knowledge from time before the war, which Tech is surprised to hear. So, because he never thought about the planet being its own place with its own peaceful culture. But this is one thing that the Clone Wars show definitely excelled at, right? Making us look at the war as more than just living beings fighting droids, and instead as a complex and ultimately misguided conflict fought by people who had some genuinely good reasons and goals. But while in hiding, Omega receives a kaleidoscope from Romar to play with, Latoy, and she immediately asks if this is part of the treasure and is disappointed when it's not. But the first season spent so much time with Omega and the defenseless girl who needed to be saved by the squad, and the members' reactions to having to take care of this girl because they'd never been dads before, that whole thing. And it didn't really have time to explore the fact that Omega is a child in a war zone, right? She's technically older than her brothers. They're clones, so they age different, but she never experienced life outside of Camino, and all she knows is to fight and kill. ultimately, the batch is forced to go home empty-handed, leaving the war chest behind to save their lives. Omega is disappointed because the treasure could have given the group life, and they might have had, if they weren't stuck with her, kind of feeling guilty. But Echo convinces her just let it go, and as he explains, they were never going to have a normal life, regardless of Omega joining the team. Right? After all, they had stayed behind. They would be working with the Empire, or worse, probably discarded. But after they escape, we cut back to the clone trooper in charge of the operation on Sereno, as he's reporting back to his superior, Vice Admiral Rampart, who the same man who ordered the bombardment on Camino. So Rampart tells the trooper, that there's an inaccuracy in his report, which states that Clone Force 99 tried to steal the war chest. Of course, that can't be, since they perished on Camino, right? So if Tarkin were to find out about this and discover that the Empire failed at capturing or killing Clone Force 99, the Bad Batch, there would be big consequences. So instead, they report, that it was a mistake, right? Just to kind of, cover their tracks. And it's a short scene, but they it just may be the most poignant yet in the Bad Batch. We see the start of the Empire as a doomed state of bureaucracy and greed, because we never saw that yet. It's a similar side of the Empire that Andor showed, right? Cruel, detached, uncaring. Everyone's just a number, but fragile, right? Very fragile. The Empire is full of redundancies, mistakes, and flaws, right? Everyone overlooks because no one wants to take the fall, right? Nobody wants to take the responsibility or be the one that gets smashed.
Responsible, yeah.
Right. And this is the Empire that will allow a rebellion to be formed because they can't imagine anyone daring to question them, right? So, let alone act against them, and they don't want to admit that they could ever be challenged, or let anyone else think that too, right? So by acknowledging it, the whole thing. So when the clone trooper refuses to change his report to lie, Rampart kills him, executes him on the spot. And this is the beginning of the end for the clones, right? A force that was literally created and bred to follow orders, but is now working for an empire that cares not about orders, but the bottom line, money, right? Despite having inhibitor chips and forced obedience, the clones still clearly have morals because they were good dudes. They didn't just kill the Jedi because they got ordered to. They killed the Jedi because they had a chip that forced them to do it. It's not anything they would have done, even if they were ordered to. And which, they consider morally just, but they can't fathom officials who lie, cheat, care more about their own political gain than the mission, or the well-being of the Empire, because they're military bred. They don't see any other, you know what I'm saying? But it was a great start, I think, to the season. And let's just hope this isn't the best of the show, because but it's great. It's good. We do meet a new character too, Wanda Sykes. If you guys
remember, I told you that. I was like, I think Wanda Sykes is in this joint, man.
Yeah, bro. She plays Fee, a very cool pirate with obviously that's funny. It's Wanda Sykes. In her brief introduction, she already feels like a good and humorous addition to the very self-seriousness of the batch. Joking with them and almost flirting with Tech a little bit. But sadly, we don't see Crosshair this episode. I'm sure he's brooding in a perch somewhere as usual. But I have a little video of Wanda. Let's see if I can bust that out. Oh shit. Okay, here it goes. So this is Wanda playing Fee. And hopefully we won't get booted.
Aren't clones supposed to look alike? So much for quality control. This one's too big. This one's too small. This one's got a face tattoo. Yeah, real subtle. Hey now. Got a name, Brown Eyes?
Tech. However, the phenotypic eye color for all clones is brown. Iris pigmentation was not affected by
Well,
a
as fascinating as this has been, I have places to be.
Yeah, so typical Wanda. Pretty funny, pretty cool. But yeah, that's that little footage that they gave us, teased us with. Yeah, but the Bad Batch is about to clean up one of the messiest Star Wars canon parts. Well, more detail obsessed among Star Wars fans have long asked how exactly the clone army from the prequel trilogy was replaced by the Stormtrooper forces, right? Because I always thought, when I watched, I think most kids like clones and Stormtroopers, like they kind of look similar. Like, are they the same? And then I was like, well, are the troopers clones too then? And like, so I guess the clones must have became the Stormtroopers. Obviously, that didn't happen. But these arguments started way before Disney decanonized, the original expanded universe, the legends and stuff like that. Because that pretty clearly established that Stormtroopers were just normal humans. The concept of the Clone Wars did not exist beyond the name back then. So the novel authors even thought that the clone army was supposed to fight against the Republic when we heard that, so, but with Disney canon, that could have been a non-issue, really. Stormtroopers could have just remained clones to start with. But then episode 7 established from the start that kidnapping and brainwashing people was so much simpler than vat growing and raising clone troopers from zero when you're not concerned with keeping your army a secret. Obviously, Stormtroopers were cheaper to just take a kid from its family, raise it, brainwash it, and whatever, than growing a clone army. I guess that was probably expensive. But yeah, other canon entries like Bad Batch the first season gave similar suggestions that Stormtroopers were just cheaper. But the question persists, mostly because Stormtroopers, who already were mimetically inept in the original trilogy, though more competent than your typical extras from 80s action movies, but they couldn't shoot for shit, and became complete clowns in most of Disney canon. They just complete clowns, not cool at all. I always saw Stormtroopers as really cool and menacing and badass, but they took the guy bumping his head and they've just run with it and just, they can't shoot, and then they've just turned them into just goofy ass clowns. But whether you talk of the original or First Order version, so whenever you saw them on screen outside of like Andor, you could not help but ask how exactly the vastly more capable clone army got replaced by these morons. But Bad Batch season 2, I think we're gonna get a more detailed answer, something more concrete, something, so we can just stop speculating. And if anything is likely to explain exactly how and when the Empire switched from clones to normal soldiers, then it's definitely going to be this series. And there is a little hint about why in the season 2 trailer. If you go back and watch, Commander Cody says, rumors are more and more clones have been questioning the order. Which is well in line with the whole trend of excusing the clones for executing Order 66, which got underway in the last seasons of the Clone series. But at this point, the Empire might well decide that the army, which was supposed to be totally loyal, is not loyal enough, and that the whole idea with inhibitor chips is not working out in the long term, and scrap the project. Lots of theories, man. Lots of theories, but that's another, I think, big thing that we'll get out of Bad Batch this season. Young Jedi Adventures, I don't know shit about.
That's the kiddie show. They said that is strictly
for
kids.
I mean, I know that much, but I don't know much about it. Beyond that.
They just, from what I read, they said if you're not anywhere between kindergarten and I say third grade. They said it's not going to be for you, so don't complain. But
Right.
it is strictly for young
For
kids.
children.
It's aimed at children. It's
Yeah.
for children. It's about children. And if
Yeah.
you're
So
not a
we don't want to
child,
hear any
don't watch it.
complaining about this.
Yeah, nobody. They
Not
don't want
for
anybody
you.
complaining, right? Because you know
Yeah.
everybody get. Oh, well, why did they make that?
It's for toddlers, bro. Come on, relax. It's for toddlers. But seriously, that one, you know, I think might even be entertaining for you know, real fans. There's a lot of little kid shows that are actually entertaining, especially when they're, you know, something, you know, like Star Wars or something that you're really into. But we got, what do we got? Moff Gideon. Oh yeah, that's gonna be dope. We got Mandalorian season 3 villain. Oh, this is my favorite fucking big news item of the show. A new open world Star Wars game has been teased by Ubisoft, one of my favorite game creators, developers.
That's
Ubisoft.
UBI. That's UBI.
Yeah. Ubisoft. And
UBI.
yeah, that's what I said. Ubisoft. The studios. Studio. Yeah, but they're serious. Because we talked about Survivor. You know, Christmas might be over, but obviously gamers still getting presents in the form of new games. We have a big Star Wars game coming up in Jedi Survivor that I'm super excited about. But it's not the only title that we're getting from this franchise. Apparently, Ubisoft, creative director Julian Garrity just posted a New Year's greeting that sort of teased the new game in the Star Wars universe. He said, "Happy New Year to you all. 2023 is going to be huge for us. Join the adventure." And then it says Star Wars and Ubisoft, Massive, and Lucasfilm. And, you know, the game doesn't have a name yet, but Massive Entertainment has previously revealed the development for like the upcoming open world game is going well. So that's great news. The studio has recently announced that it's accepting applicants to participate in the game's playtesting stage. So there's a link for that. Yeah, so there's a link for that, which I will try to share with you guys here in a second. Stop it. So the okay, stop it. Jesus Christ. Pop-ups. The involvement of playtesters, you know, they'll put a game out. It's called a beta, and they'll put out the beta version and let, you know, a small group of players, gamers, have early access to the game to play it, basically give them feedback and find out what
bugs that's the alpha. Yeah, that's the alpha. The beta is usually where they'll put it out to everybody. They'll have like pretty much and almost finished. It'll probably be like 90% finished.
But it'll be a small group. It'll be a limited
the alpha's
group.
Usually a smaller. Yeah, that's the alpha. That's a smaller group. Yeah. The alpha's really because when Elden Ring came out, there were people selling their alpha codes on eBay and making money off of it. I can't understand that. I literally was blown away by somebody paying, you know, $50, $100 for an alpha code. Like I
mean, but beta testing is a big thing in gaming. Like I know my son, he gets beta tests. They send him beta games all the time. But the involvement of play testers implies that the developer is close to completing the game. Hopefully they will reveal a teaser or a gameplay trailer soon. But what we know about it so far, Massive Entertainment has been very secretive about the development of the open world Star Wars title since it's announced at the start of 2021.
We won't get anything before. We won't get anything before. I'll say Gamescom, or maybe I don't, because I don't even know if they're gonna do an E3 this year. But we won't see anything before Gamescom, and that'll be within another. So Gamescom usually comes in the spring, and then the Japanese game show will happen sometime this month. If we don't see anything in the Japanese game show this month, we'll definitely see something by Gamescom.
Yeah, and at the time, Ubisoft revealed it partnered with Disney and Lucasfilm on the upcoming title, so that's important that they actually got that out of the way. But the unnamed Star Wars game apparently will be story driven, open world action adventure, which I know me personally, all Star Wars fans have been fiending for since the beginning of fucking Star Wars video games. Like it's the game we've all been, and there's so many developers that have attempted or started or planned on making this game, and it's never happened. They've even put it in gamer magazines and talked about,
It's
this,
hard,
the open world Star
It's
Wars
hard,
game is coming, but
man.
it's
hard, Reno. You gotta remember, Reno, the bar for open world games is Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, it's top
Then
tier.
the bar under that bar is Saints Row. So if your game isn't between those two bars or
Red Dead,
you don't that's all Rockstar. Rockstar is the king of open world games. So if you don't have a Rockstar type open world game, story driven like Grand Theft or Red Dead, especially Grand Theft. I only say Red Dead because Red Dead used to put me to sleep. I'm not even gonna lie. It was the second one. The first one was good.
The best thing about Red Dead 2 was the online.
It was way better than the regular game.
Yeah,
but if you don't have, if you ain't between Saints Row and if you ain't between Saints Row and Grand Theft, you can hang it up with your open world game.
Well, it would be amazing. I'd love to see a fucking Rockstar Star Wars open world game, but we don't have that. We have Ubisoft. But one thing that Ubisoft made that I was a super fan of was the Splinter Cell series. That was my favorite game, period, when it came out. Ghost Recon, a lot of the Tom Clancy games. But they were really top notch when they came out with graphics. Like they were some of the most beautiful, most best looking games at the time when Ubisoft started dropping, Splinter Cell and stuff like that. So I'm not mad. I'm not mad that it's them. They're using the proprietary Snowdrop engine. So unfortunately not Unreal 5, but the game engine has been used to develop the Division series games, as well as like Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, and Mario plus the Rabbids game. So it's a good, but Garrity previously teased bits of information regarding the upcoming game. He said, "This is a lore that we love, and we want to do it justice with a game and story that bring both lifelong and new fans on an immersive and outstanding journey that will stay with them for years." I can't wait. I can't fucking wait.
I hope so.
Yeah. Lucasfilm Games VP Douglas Riley revealed the game's open world will be an immersive experience for fans of Star Wars. According to Riley, the upcoming game will feature richly detailed environments that players can explore. He said, we know that fans of Star Wars value the feeling of immersion, of being transported into the Star Wars galaxy and moving through richly detailed environments. It's fun to imagine what the team at Massive can do with Star Wars, within Star Wars, by bringing their innovative spirit to and their commitment to quality. So the game does not, again, have a title or release date, but we will definitely be keeping you updated, because I will be like on the edge of my seat until this thing drops. So we will definitely keep you posted. Ubisoft will be monetizing the game too. They're going to include I don't know what it is suggesting, why, but Exputer spotted a Ubisoft job listing looking for a monetization specialist. The job posting was published 2 weeks ago, and according to the job description, the hired individual will be contributing to the financial success of our games, shaping strategies that boost profitability while respecting our players and the essence of each game. More importantly, the post implies that Ubisoft will hire the monetization specialist on 2 titles: Avatar's Frontiers of Pandora, which was delayed indefinitely, and the unnamed Star Wars game. And gamers have had a long, have had a negative perception of microtransactions, and this hasn't changed at all. They suck. We hate them. And it doesn't help as well that several games like Diablo Immortal implement predatory microtransaction features that lead players to spending huge sums in-game just to progress. You should not have to pay money to, pay to play, pay to win kind of thing. Like, oh, if I buy this, my character is more powerful or stronger or whatever. The only thing you should be able to pay for is cosmetic. But that's just how gamers feel. But Star Wars Battlefront 2 had an infamous implementation of a loot box monetization, which, I don't know how people felt, but players were willing to spend real money and got substantial gameplay advantages. So EA was actually forced to revamp the microtransactions after, significant backlash from the community. They actually had to take it out because it was just ridiculous. But hopefully they're not going to do that for this Star Wars game, but other games have gotten negative feedback, like FIFA 23, Gran Turismo 7, microtransactions. Overwatch 2 is also looking to sort of revamp its microtransactions and Battle Pass after getting negative reactions from its player base. So nobody likes that. Nobody wants that. Hopefully they're just, but if we're being honest, it doesn't come off as a huge surprise that, the upcoming Star Wars game will have microtransactions. But Ubisoft has implemented, features in games like Division 2, Rainbow Six Siege, Rainbow Six Extraction. And if it's any consolation, the microtransactions in those games are purely cosmetic. And that's how microtransactions should be. You should not have to pay to win. And we don't give, paying players gameplay advantages and things like that. So we're hoping, Ubisoft has learned from the failures of other microtransaction filled games, specifically
like
Star
EA.
Wars Battlefront 2.
EA did.
Yeah, they
EA
had
did that. Yeah.
That's what I was just saying.
EA gave us it was just dumb. It was just dumb. Like you could pay for, like you spend these credits to get these better weapons, earning them like every bit. I mean shields, power ups.
It's not fair because
it ain't fair.
You got more money than me, you can beat me in the game just because I'm broke. That's just horrible.
I've played with guys. I know guys and play with guys that will pay to win. They will pay to play. They will pay to win. They'll shell out $100.
Yeah,
they'll shell out $75.
Hundreds,
like it's nothing.
Like it's nothing. Right. So, but most kids can't do that, and that's the real complaint. Most kids can't pull out the Visa and spend $50 on a loot crate or whatever. So, but so we've got what else news? We got Stormtroopers with reforged white and gold armor led by Thrawn that will be in the new Ahsoka show. That sounds really cool. I think this year is set to bring Star Wars fans a lot of exciting projects. Obviously, the highly anticipated third season of Mandalorian, the Jedi Fallen Order follow-up, Jedi Survivor, just, that's coming out this year. But in addition, one of the most exciting Disney Plus shows, Ahsoka, is going to, I think is only less than 2 months away and will be sort of a successor to the Star Wars Rebel series. So it's going to follow that series, which is very exciting because Rebels was an animated show and Ahsoka is a live action show. So I always love that when, we get to see, and sometimes it is shit, but sometimes live action can be really cool. So I can't wait to see like live action Ezra, live action Thrawn. We already know live action Ahsoka was phenomenal. So over the last couple of months, more and more rumors have slipped through, regarding the series. And today a new rumor that a large number of stormtroopers have been destroyed in the series with their armor obliterated. However, if it seems like, if it seems the stormtroopers become reanimated with their armor fixed in a similar way to Kylo Ren's mask in Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, Kylo's helmet was reforged and held back together with like blood red veins, made from a Saracen iron. But this procedure in Rise of Skywalker was inspired by kintsugi, was a Japanese art which they purposely break like a vase and glue it back together with like gold or whatever to outline the broken pieces. So like the all that you can see that it's broken, and they do it on purpose. It's just an art form, but it was inspired by that. And but unlike his mask, the stormtrooper's armor will be held together by gold veins, much more like kintsugi, the Japanese art. And maybe these stormtroopers are brought back to life with their armor fixed by a variation of the Night Sisters in the New Beyond. But once again, this is merely speculation. But these troopers supposedly serve Grand Admiral Thrawn, which will be played by Lars Mikkelsen, which is also very exciting news because he did the voice in the show, so he'll be familiar. It'll be great. And we'll also take orders from Babylon, who's going to be a new badass villain played by Ray Stevenson, who you may know from Punisher Warzone. But Thrawn's second in command and former Jedi. So he's going to be dope, but he'll be like a dark Jedi now. And then he'll have his apprentice Shin, which will be played by Ivana Seiko. But the primary objective of Thrawn and the troopers is to hunt down Ezra Bridger, right? From Rebels, Sabine Wren, and Ahsoka. And Ahsoka is sounding more and more interesting. Every report, like every new thing I hear about this show, it's like even more exciting. And is definitely becoming one of my most anticipated projects, Star Wars deals for the year for sure. Seeing the return of the Ghost crew, Hayden Christensen back in action, Anakin, as a ghost coming back, the World Between Worlds. That's some more shit that's going to be phenomenally cool. If you don't know about that, again, check out Rebels. There's a lot to the World Between Worlds, a lot of cool stuff in there. And let's see, do I have one of those? Yeah. So basically, like during the production of Ahsoka, there was a code for a character that I'm reluctant to share at the moment. But through this code, I was able to figure out and confirm that Ahsoka had different code names for the different eras of her story, using different actors for those moments. But and this is my first hunch that we would see Ahsoka in different eras of her life to some extent. So we'll see, like, there'll be a young Ahsoka, like a middle-aged Ahsoka, and then the Rosario Dawson, which is the older, so I guess she's more middle-aged, but you know what I mean. But to be clear, there's another young actor playing Ahsoka in Star Wars Ahsoka that is not Rosario Dawson, nor fan favorite Ashley Eckstein, who voiced Ahsoka in the animated show. And I can't confirm if Ashley Eckstein is voicing young Ahsoka at this time, but that's the rumor. But these are glimpses or small sequences, and Dawson will be playing Rosario will be Ahsoka through the majority of the show, of course. But we, the audience, will get glimpses of Ahsoka through other times and eras via the World Between Worlds. The World Between Worlds is an idea from the Rebels show, where it's sort of like a time travel place in the galaxy. There's a version of Ahsoka in her late teens. Another undisclosed time might be present day Ahsoka in terms of the narrative itself. And finally, for the version that we saw in the ending of Rebels, right, in her magical white robes. And so and then my Darth Vader sources have confirmed that Ahsoka will fight Darth Vader in more than one way. So lightsaber battle, mental shit, force shit, and Hayden Christensen required some training for a sequence in the series because we will see his face again on screen wearing the same costume that he wore in Revenge of the Sith. So he'll be in his black clothes right before he got his limbs chopped off. So
hopefully this will be. I go when you say that, I go back to Obi-Wan Kenobi. This big climactic battle between two rivals, and look what we got. So
yeah, trash. This is not going to be that. This will not be that. Ahsoka will be much more akin to Mandalorian than Book of Boba Fett or Andor or any of the other shows. It's because it's almost a spin-off of Mandalorian. I mean, Ahsoka, Rosario Dawson from Mandalorian, so it's made by the same people. So I have a lot of faith in this show. It's definitely the one. It's definitely the new show that I'm most excited for. Most excited for Mandalorian season 3. Ahsoka is the new show that I'm most excited for, hands down. And we will see, many possible outcomes for Ahsoka's life and how, in essence, no matter what, they all lead to a particular moment in the story. Because basically Ahsoka will want to go back and fix what went wrong with Anakin, help Anakin not become Darth Vader, not go to the dark side, save him and things like that. And with the world between worlds being able to time travel, we get the butterfly effect, and it's like you can go back and stop Anakin from becoming Darth Vader at this moment, but he's still going to become Darth Vader 10 minutes later or a year later or whatever, because he's destined. He's going to be Darth Vader. He's the chosen one. He's going to bring balance to the Force. Becoming Darth Vader is how that happens. You can't stop it, no matter what you do. So there'll be some of that action. And if Ahsoka had returned to the Jedi Order, she would be the one, fighting Darth Vader on Mustafar, having the high ground, not Obi-Wan, because what happened had to happen, right? To get Ahsoka to where she and the Skywalkers needed to be. And I can also confirm that Hayden Christensen filmed fight scenes with Clone Wars Ahsoka Tano in this scenario. Though the world between worlds, it seems through that present day Ahsoka will learn that Anakin Skywalker was, destined to take the path that he did, right? And we, the audience, will see aspects of those outcomes. And some of them we see live action Clone Wars era Ahsoka, played by a new actor in a duel with Anakin, taking the place of Obi-Wan in this reality that never was. So think multiverse, think, Doctor Strange, and think, so we'll see, like, in this universe or in this timeline or Loki, right? They're all doing this. So in this timeline, it was Ahsoka who chopped off Anakin's legs, not Obi-Wan. Or maybe she didn't chop off his legs. Maybe she did something else. But that battle in this timeline was her and him, not Obi-Wan and him. So things like that. Yeah. So
I talked to a couple Star Wars nerds, and they said that from what they read, that it was supposed to be a world. They were saying that basically she, no matter what she does, he becomes Vader, and if she would have returned to the Order, she would have died by his hand. So, like, they had this they had a climactic battle a few different times, and she was trying to figure out how she could save him, but she can't save him. And they had to explain to her that no matter what happens, he can't be saved. But you can. We can save you, but you can't save him. And that was the premise of it. But I can't wait to see it because I want to see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
They said that she did explore different timelines or different instances or in time where, she tried to change them, but it just
it's like the butterfly effect. There's nothing they can do. She could change.
There's nothing they can do.
she could stop it here, but it's still gonna happen here. You know, it's like she'd be wasting time,
right,
and fucking up other shit. But as for Andor season 2, you asked me about. Andor season 2 is set to make Rogue One's opening way more tragic. If you remember the opening of Rogue One with the daughter of Mads Mikkelsen, you know, what's her name? I can't think of her name. Keep thinking Ray is popping in my head. It's not Ray. Jin Urso, or I know her last name's Urso. I think her dad's Jin Urso. She's anyway, I don't want to waste time. But anyway, Cassian's backstory in Andor season 2, is set to make the opening part of his appearance in Rogue One way more tragic. I think we first saw him busting out and he shoots that guy. He has to kill that guy and like get away. But the Empire's cruel acts of genocide have definitely overshadowed Cassian's life and played a big factor in his character development. You know, his homeworld of Kenari was destroyed by the Imperials, who simply labeled the planet a site of unspecified mining disaster. Right? That was, it was just a mining disaster. They killed everyone. And Andor saw early on what the Empire was capable of, making his mission to destroy the Death Star personal and all that more important when he finally came around. During his time on Narkina 5, Andor unknowingly contributed to the Death Star's construction, right? He was helping build those things and became nothing but another number to the Empire. He did, however, manage to escape, with this arc of his backstory being the birth of his time as a rebel. But Cassian will likely learn to become a leader in Andor season 2. Become more of who we saw him in Rogue One. Rogue One, and audiences, might see just how difficult it is to join the rebellion. Right? You can't just walk up and be like, I'll join. And the events of season 1 sort of provided depth into the story that we saw in Rogue One, making Andor's connection to the Death Star, darker. Because during the first Death Star's construction, the Empire wanted to keep it a secret from the rest of the galaxy. They didn't want anyone to know they were building this thing until it was built and until they tested it and it worked. While on Narkina 5, Cassian played the part of a beaten man who's merely trying to survive, right? And although he had no idea what the machinery that he was helping build was for, him and the other inmates knew that it was vital to the Empire. And Cassian himself began to learn the concept of oppression and what little freedom, he had while in prison. And he came out of this, horrible experience with like a greater understanding of like how unfair the galaxy was or the Empire and things. And so Andor's Death Star reveal at the end of season 1 made Cassian's bittersweet fate all the more brutal. When audiences first saw him in Rogue One, he encountered that guy Tivik, who I think was a Rebel Alliance informant guy, and who further spread the news of the Empire is building a planet killer, right? And it was here that Cassian put together the pieces and truly understood that he helped create what eventually ended up killing him. Even before the concept of a planet killer was ever brought up, Cassian probably had a stronger idea of what he was walking into, because the events of Andor's first season helped show this, as Cassian knew if he continued going down the path of a rebel, eventually it would kill him. And obviously that's what happened. But Andor's death, his Death Star arc, can get sadder, bro. Like Andor's big Death Star twist meant that the story behind the super weapon could only become worse than it already was. At the beginning of Rogue One, Andor was constantly looking for answers about the Death Star. With Cassian a free man at the end of Andor season 1, and given his experience on Narkina 5 in the prison, he might end up partnering with Luthen, to uncover the hidden details about the Project Stardust. And the Empire was shown to go to great lengths to get what they wanted, but what's worse is that they might be hiding something even worse, which could be explored in Andor season 2. So it's a lot to come. It's a lot that they're planning for Andor as well. So again, man, it's just a lot of cool stuff coming out this year for Star Wars.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah, 2023 is our year. And Ahsoka, another thing with Ahsoka is she's there's something about Kylo Ren, like it looks like that there'll be some visual similarities to Kylo Ren's time in the sequel trilogy. The latest, batch of sequels, right? Episodes 7 through 9 is a divisive subject amongst many. Some hate them with every fiber of their being, loathe every bit of them, and others absolutely love them. And then people like me who are just, deep fans of Star Wars, there's a lot of there's a lot of cool stuff in those movies that I would take out and like, oh, that's cool, and maybe use it, but 90% of it is trash. But anyway, so no matter what side of the equation that you might be on, it's easy to say that Kylo Ren was definitely cool. Like, regardless of whether you hated or love those movies, I think everyone agrees Kylo Ren is a cool character. Maybe it's Adam Driver's great acting, whatever it is. Maybe it's his cool helmet, his mask, whatever it is. He kind of was the one tragedy about those movies because he could have been such a cool character. But by the time Rise of Skywalker is done, he's gone. He bit the dust. But it seems that his influence will still be felt across the franchise, including this Ahsoka thing. Because according to a new report from Making Star Wars, the upcoming Disney Plus series will include designs directly inspired by Rise of Skywalker Kylo Ren. And what these things are, what this inspiration is, this Kylo Ren connection, they haven't said, but I'm pretty sure what they're talking about is the Stormtrooper thing, the kintsugi, the Japanese art, where they break stuff and glue it back together with gold, because they're gonna do that, and that's exactly what they did with Kylo Ren. So that's probably what they mean. Unfortunately, I don't think there'll be any cool characters looking like Kylo Ren or anything like that. I'm pretty sure that's what they're going for, but we'll have to see. But there's a lot of cool stuff. There's Night Sister stuff involved, and cool stuff. Mostly, because Andor was great, but we got no Force stuff, right? No lightsaber stuff, no magic, nothing ethereal or supernatural or anything at all. Which I didn't miss. Andor was great, but it'll be great to get into some more of that mystic Star Wars stuff. And there'll be a lot of it. There'll definitely be a lot of it.
Yes, we would love to get into the mystic Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, with the ghosts and all of that, Force ghosts coming, and World Between Worlds. I think Ahsoka is going to be as much as about the mystic stuff as Andor wasn't. Like, I don't think it'll be the opposite, in the best possible way. And Mandalorian 3 has got some potential surprises, definitely, that we can definitely look forward to. Obviously season 1, the biggest surprise was Grogu. And then season 2 was obviously Luke Skywalker busting in and tearing shit up. But yeah, season 3, there's you've got there might be some Darth Maul shit, who knows, but you've got the dark saber, you've got Pre Vizsla and because Maul obtained the dark saber from. All right, one of the biggest surprises of the season, could definitely be an appearance of Darth Maul, which could seem out of place, but the Mandalorian season 3 is going to have, this major object, right? That's central to the story that could see an appearance from Maul, and that's the dark saber, right? At the end of season 2, Din Djarin gets the dark saber from Moff Gideon, something that used to be owned by Bo-Katan, but before Bo-Katan could get it, beat him or whatever, I guess she couldn't fight him, so now it's his. The saber was owned by Sabine Wren at one point, who obtained it from Darth Maul's lair on Dathomir. Okay, so while the dark saber's history can be tracked to this point, going back to the Clone Wars when Maul obtained it from Pre Vizsla herself, there's a stretch of time when the dark saber's whereabouts were unknown alongside Darth Maul's. And between Maul's exit from Order 66 and his appearance in Star Wars Rebels, there's not a lot that's known of his activities outside of his brief cameo appearance in the Solo movie, a time, where he owned the darksaber. So given how the Mandalorian season 3 will likely feature the darksaber to a large extent, the show could flash back through the weapon's journey and feature, some surprising cameos from guys like Darth Maul. Snoke is another thing that they're talking about. Supreme Leader Snoke, as far as his sort of origins, maybe teased. Thinking Camino and the clones and stuff like that. But the Mandalorian's first 2 seasons, obviously centered around the Empire trying to catch Grogu, with the clone doctor being the one trying to get. So they're trying to get Grogu to do something to do with cloning. All right, we kind of gleaned that from the first 2 seasons. There's some clone issue that they want to use, maybe Grogu's DNA. Who knows? Maybe give his force powers to the clone to make Snoke or to make Palpatine, whatever. But Palpatine's clone, the facility on Navarro in season 2, right? A lot of people have theorized that the Empire wants Grogu to create Snoke, to create Palpatine and blah blah blah. But if these theories become true, Mandalorian season 3 could also feature Snoke's origin story, setting up the sequel trilogy, 20 years before it begins. But honestly, we're never going to get our wish of them just forgetting the sequel trilogy happened and just sort of writing it out of canon. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. It's just too much money involved, and they just won't do it. But hopefully we'll have a lot of really great guys like, Filoni and George Lucas and stuff to come in and sort of fix what they can. You know what I mean? Make it make a little more sense. Something. So hopefully, unfortunately, they're going to have to spend time doing that instead of more great content. Princess Leia passed away, obviously, the actress that played Princess Leia, but another appearance that may sort of rival the surprise of Luke Skywalker is Leia Organa, and this would undoubtedly be difficult to achieve, obviously, with in terms of the Star Wars timeline, but a potential Leia appearance would make sense, because the Mandalorian takes place around 9 ABY, after the Battle of Yavin, with the New Republic running the galaxy before the emergence of the First Order, and at this point, Leia would be raising her son Ben Solo. However, both before and after Ben's birth, Leia was part of the New Republic. And given how Din Djarin, had his fair share of run-ins with Star Wars New Republic, a Leia cameo is not out of possibility. Obviously complicated without Carrie Fisher, but with CGI nowadays and deep fakes, look, they did it with Luke, so that's not even an issue. Obviously, Han Solo, because of Mando's sort of underworld and Darth Maul and you know the solo story and stuff like that. So all kind of happening, and you've got Leia, obviously Luke. The big three would Han Solo would round that out and would be a massive surprise appearance. Unlike Leia's potential appearance, a Han Solo role could tie into the Mandalorian story because obviously he's a smuggler and he would make more sense in that world. And as is known of Han Solo from before the Galactic Civil War, he was a smuggler linked to various crime gangs across the galaxy, including the one that Darth Maul runs at the end of Solo. So all that linking together. And Din Djarin, though being one of Star Wars' many bounty hunters, is also primarily connected to the underworld of Star Wars Galaxy. While you had seasons 1 and 2 moved Mando further away from that sort of underworld, becoming more of like a, I don't know, good guy. Season 3 could see him sort of return to his roots, which could lead to a surprise Han Solo appearance. Only drawback, obviously, is the unlikelihood that Harrison Ford returns as the character. Ford's made it clear his distaste for the character and for the franchise. He does not like Star Wars. He hates it. He hates Han Solo. He wishes he never did it. Whatever. Whatever. But Rise of Skywalker was going to be his last Star Wars anything. But a similar process could be used, obviously, as with Luke Skywalker in the Book of Boba Fett, and with a stand-in body and AI-generated voice performance. But similarly to Leia, a Han Solo appearance is unlikely, despite the fact that it would be dope, and it would definitely be something to rival, Luke showing up last season. But we've got also, despite all these potentialities, arguably the one that is most likely the revelation of who saved Grogu from Order 66. Because Grogu was there. He was there when Order 66 went down at the Jedi Temple, I think. So someone spirited him away. The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett have both mentioned Grogu's survival of the event. And, with Boba Fett actually showing Grogu's experience through the Force flashback. But one thing that, has still not been made clear is just how Grogu survived and ended up on Arvala 7 at the beginning of season 1 Mando. And this plot point has been seen, has seen many theories on Reddit and everywhere else thought up by, fans of Star Wars regarding who saved Grogu. And there's been a lot of speculation ranging from Anakin Skywalker to Mace Windu, which is my favorite, the librarian. There's all kinds of, but through these theories, season 3 could have some more major appearances, right? You got the two mentioned would be a huge surprises, with Anakin being the one who murdered the younglings at the Jedi Temple, and Mace Windu apparently dead at that point. Not really. Regardless, the shows in Favreau and Filoni's Mandalorian universe have, so far have been hinting towards this question of, being answered, meaning that the potential savior of Grogu's Order 66 ordeal could lead to a big surprise. Can you imagine if they brought Mace Windu back? I can't think of anything more effective or powerful than Luke coming back and killing the whatchamacallums and shit at the end of whatchamacallit. But Mace Windu coming back would be the only thing that could rival that. And I mean rival it, like really rival it. Been waiting for Mace for many years. Because he's coming. He's alive. We know he's alive because it's been said in books and comics and shit. And there's been some incredible fan-made films, about that.
Speaking of comics, a week before Jedi Survivor comes out, we get the prequel to it in a comic. So check your local LCS the week before Jedi Survivor comes out. So that Wednesday. Go get your Kyle Kestis comic. It'll be his first appearance in the comic.
Oh, I got something for you. I got something for you, Stu Dog. What? Woo! It's your boy.
That's my boy right there. That's my boy right there.
So, G.I. Joe classified pipeline of figures. The next one coming is Big Ben, and we got the Trooper 2-pack, the Range Viper, and my man number 4 is Tunnel Rat.
I know everybody wants Tunnel Rat. Yeah. Snow Job is a favorite too.
Yeah. Buzzer Ripper from
Ripper.
Grunt, Scrap Iron, Firefly. New Firefly we've needed very badly because the Firefly we got, he's got this big bulky flak vest, and you know how he looked in the 80s. He looked basically like a ninja in gray camo, which they've got the mask and the gray camo, but he's wearing this huge, really bulky sort of vest that just really ruined the figure. So I'm so glad they're giving us a new Firefly. Low Light is another one I'm super hyped for. He was the sniper dude with the red goggles and the black Scully. Televiper with the flight pod. Chuckles. General
Chuckles
Hawk.
is another fan favorite.
Yeah. And then but this year, what we've got coming out like this, like in the next couple of months, Falcon, Covergirl, Outback, the Crimson Bat, and the Marauders Barbecue. The only two on here I really want is Covergirl and Outback. And then March to June, we're getting Shipwreck, we're getting Torpedo, we're getting Rock and Roll, my man Copperhead, and Bazooka. So yes, Bazooka. And that's your guy right there. This is the one I'm waiting for that's about to drop. It's Copperhead. I can't wait for Copperhead.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, Copperhead is dope.
Torpedo. Torpedo. He comes with a ton of.
Yeah, that's Torpedo. Yeah, Torpedo. Boy.
Hell yeah, that he come with a ton of accessories. He's gonna be great. Big Ben. I got scared for a second because I thought this was their Tunnel Rat. I was like, no. But it's not. It's Big Ben is their he's like a Russian dude, I think. Even though Big Ben is a British thing. I don't know. I'm not really familiar with Big Ben. Do you remember Big Ben?
I don't remember Big Ben. Nah.
I don't either.
I can't even front. I don't remember Big. I'm gonna have to ask. I'm gonna have to ask Jamaliquin about that one.
Yeah. I've heard the name. I've heard of him, but I don't remember him from the 80s. Maybe he's a newer guy. Rock and Roll is obviously one of the very first G.I. Joes ever. That's gonna be cool. The female Cobra Trooper looks really cool. So I'll definitely grab one of those. What else? These are coming out here in the next month or two. The card backs. You got Storm Shadow, Zartan, Snake Eyes, Crimson Guard. I'll definitely grab Zartan. I get all of them really. I'm sure. Exactly. And then Ben, and Big Ben and the Cobra Trooper.
Yeah, Big Ben. He looks cool. I just don't remember him.
He does. He looks really cool. I don't remember him.
I don't remember.
I gotta get Bazooka.
I know Bazooka. Torpedo. I don't remember Big Ben either, bro. Copperhead, I do remember. Copperhead was dope, but Copperhead came with a vehicle. He came with the
moccasin or some shit. It was a hovercraft for the swamp. It was like a swamp boat. Yeah, it was a swamp
I think it was
boat.
the water moccasin. Yeah,
something like that.
I can't remember the vehicle.
I think it was the moccasin. This guy, I can't wait to grab. So he's already out. I cannot wait. I gotta get a Serpentor, bro. He looks official, and look how big he is. The ship or his little pod, really
sky sled.
Yeah. He's actually taller than Sergeant Slaughter. I think he's the tallest one, the tallest figure that they made. This is the so HasLab was doing the tank, and this was the HISS tank driver. So if you got the HasLab HISS tank, that's the driver. I still want to get it. I think it's fucking awesome. I can't wait. Any classified size
tank gotta be huge, bro. That's gotta be huge.
saying his tank gotta be like,
because I've seen when they even had like a joint where you could put troops in the back, like the door open up and
yeah,
I was like, man,
because you got to think the characters are about yay tall, and if they're gonna fit in there, so it's got to be at least that tall and at least about that wide. So think of it, not like that. But this one I was fucking heartbroken because damn, I would have loved if they made the Dragonfly with Wild Bill, and it was supposed to come with 2 characters. I mean, the internet was blowing up, was hype, and fake fucking news. Not happening. Total lie. Fabrication.
It would
totally
be too big. Yeah. Raina would be too big. It would be huge. Bro.
No, they made the his tank. They really did make the his tank.
No, I've seen pictures. It's huge. Listen,
think about this.
The Dragonfly.
The Dragonfly might be around this size, maybe a little bigger, because that's a 7-inch figure. So yeah, maybe a little. So yeah, I mean, it's not out of this world size. But,
not big, not like obscenely big, but big enough.
But you wouldn't have a bunch of classified size vehicles. You couldn't have a whole lot of them. Speaking of my Walmart being dope, Canada has the real dope. Look at fucking what's in Canada right now. Right now, you can walk in Walmart in Canada. You can get Outback. You can get Tiger Force Bazooka. You can get Python Bat. You can get Recondo, Tiger Force Recondo. Like, these are on shelves, bro, and we're not even seeing them in the States at all. Fucking sad. But yeah, man, Hasbro, get it together, man. Get it together. This classified
toy company, man. I'm just gonna have to do it. Toy store, man, where they can just dump all that dope stuff off to me and I can sell it.
I'm telling you, man.
I have to do it. Man, can't see no other way. I'm gonna have to do it.
Absolutely. It's 8:15. I know you got to get to work.
Yes, sir.
But we have so guys, if you hung out with us today, we thank you. Please leave us a comment in the comment section. Hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you came in halfway through the show, run it back, watch the replay. But mostly, please give us a comment, guys. We need them. They help us a lot. We have a big show Saturday coming up. You guys know every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 6:30 p.m. We're here live. This Saturday, we got a great show, great DC Power Hour show. Lots of cool shit going on, with DC, and we'll be there, man. We'll definitely bring you guys all the goods. So we will see you then, Saturday, my man. And we's out. Peace.
Peace.